What is up, my ninjas? I'm going to do something really quick, really concise today. I'm going to answer Ryuasukerealm's comments. I'm not trying to attack you, but I noticed in your review on Blade, it felt like you were directing everything at my points. And I don't know. I like doing the discussion type deal, so I'm going to go straight into it and jump in and answer what you thought was my perspective and kind of set the record straight. Okay, the first thing is that you pointed out that the Blade anime is an interpretation. Okay, to some degree you're correct, but the more important thing is when you look at an interpretation, what was changed and what wasn't changed. You know, what is verbatim the original the source material and what is new material, right? In this case, at 95% of what you're watching as far as Blade himself, it is Blade. I mean, they're giving you his backstory just like the comics. If you read the comics, all this stuff won't be new to you. With Blade fighting werewolves and vampires and harpy type things and going all over the world and fighting mythological creatures and supernatural creatures from all over the globe, that is Blade. That's Blade since his debut in Tomb of Dracula back in the 60s, I want to say. That's Blade. That's the way it is. They didn't do anything new there. Just because it's being animated in Japan by a Japanese studio does not change the facts. And the facts are, you are watching an animated version of Blade's history, well, a lot of his history, with a couple new characters inserted into the story. That doesn't make it a huge interpretation, a new interpretation. It's really just a regurgitation with some embellishments. There's a big difference. You said that Marvel didn't evolve the character. If you read the comics, you'd know that so much evolution has happened with the character in the standard 616 Marvel versus the Ultimate Marvel. Blade has, I'm not going to go through all of them. Their Wikipedia exists. If you don't know, read them. You could download a torrent of Tomb of Dracula and Blade comics. Get yourself up to date. That way when you make the statements, you sound more like you know what's going on. A lot of people don't realize how long Blade has been around. They're still making Blade comics. Blade is still showing up. Now he's showing up in Avengers comics now. He's actually on one of the teams of the Avengers. This is stuff that if you do a review talking about the history of a fairly obscure character, you're going to need to get your facts straight, homie. And this is one of those times where the facts are that Blade has evolved a lot. He evolved a lot back right before the movies came out. So Blade being evolved here, I mean, what in this is reinventing the wheel and is so amazingly new? You know what I mean? Nothing in this anime regarding Blade is new. Everything about the character is standard. It's the way he has been for years. So I don't understand what is wowing you so much in this series. But like I said, this is my perspective. You know, I write, I do comics, I often do character designs for people. None of those areas in this are blowing me away. You know, and there's a lot of other people who share my view on this, and these are otakus and non-otakus. You sound extremely like an otaku, so I understand that you dig it, you know, and that's you. So, you know, speaking for yourself, you dig it, it's nice, it's fine for you, it works for you. For me, it doesn't. And making that blanket statement that you made about if you are, once you heard it's anime, that you need to all that information, all the logic, all the whatever should have left my mind, because anime is what did you say? You said anime situations. Anime is best for not explaining equipment. That's BS. Anime is what best known for not explaining equipment situations. It's known for stereotypical characters, true, unrealistic, over the top, and confusing plots, weird plots too. That kind of makes sense. But Blade and a lot of other American comics have confusing and weird plots too. The over the top action, no one has a problem with the action. We're talking supernatural, so over the top is kind of an understatement. They're doing things that normal people can't do. That's the whole point of me watching this. So that has nothing to do with the points that I made about what is wrong with the anime just from the trailer. And I've watched the first 4 episodes, and that was as far as I could go because nothing is being pushed. That's what my issue is. As far as not explaining equipment, I mean, what animes have you been watching? All the Gundams, where they show you every aspect of how a Gundam works? Shoot, let's not say Gundam specifically. All the mecha-based anime, where they show you every detail of how these things work. Animes like Trigun, where they show you the design and how a gun, all these different guns work, all the mechanisms and all that stuff, and then you come on here and you say, anime is best known for not explaining equipment? What the fuck, for real? Apparently one of us was paying attention when we watched our animes, because that's not true at all. Anything done by Masamune Shirow, it's insane industrial design put into everything. From guns, from standard just clothing, and some of it's ridiculous, but still, from the way the clothing works, to the way weapons work, computer systems, cybernetics, everything. These cats, they go ham on this shit. Stuff by, God, I can't remember his name, but the guy who created Giant Robo. As cartoony as the people in that world work, or look, he shows you how everything works down to the batteries that powered everything in that show. And you bring up that anime is best known for not explaining equipment? Dude, you really need to... Maybe I'm just watching different anime. Maybe that's what it is. But overall, I don't think that's an accurate statement at all. If anything, anime is known for taking equipment designs and industrial design from your characters to the actual city and world around you. They take that to the next level. And that's something that Western animation and Western comics, we've grown because we've studied these things because we saw it from them. So now, when you look at Western stuff, there isn't very big of a difference between Western design versus Japanese design, because now you have a lot of Westerners who mimic Japanese design. I mean, you look at a lot of comics from mainstream to like the independent scene, and they all have these things in common. They sit there and they look and they research the hell out of how things work so that they can let us see how they work. And then you're telling me when Blade has a whole arsenal between the comics and the movies, even in that horrible TV show, and you mean to tell me we watch a show, an anime, where the sky's the limit pretty much. If you can draw it, it can be in the anime, and they give him his basic swords, his sword and stakes, and that's it, and you're cool with that? Come on. You know? If that works for you, then cool. But I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. You said my value system is correct for an American viewpoint. We're talking about an American character. What other viewpoint should I have? Like I mentioned in the first part, they did not reinvent the wheel here. All they did was regurgitate information and interject a Japanese character to be the vehicle by which otakus and Japanese fans and whatever, Japanese consumers, whatever, that's how they get on this ride, and they're supposed to relate to the situations that she is experiencing, or relate to the series and the story through her. How does that make the whole thing a Japanese perspective? You know? I don't get it. I really don't understand what you're talking about, you know? And if you say that the anime has these unrealistic, over-the-top, and confusing weird plots, if you don't understand it, that means they're confusing to you. A lot of anime is cut and dry because it's all stereotypical. You even see the same character archetypes over and over and over and over and over. Even the same arcs. And by arc, I'm talking story. The same piece of plot device or piece of storytelling device. You see them over and over and over and over and over. You know, amnesia, revenge plots. And it's usually the generic, you killed my mom, you killed my dad, like Jin Kazama. Like, in this case, they're doing it, and it's Blade's plot too. I have amnesia, but I'm responsible for something that I still feel all this guilt over. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on and on. The harem animes. I'm bumbling idiot. I don't understand anything that's going on except I've got a kind heart, but all the women in the world love me and they all want to live in my house. I mean, how many times can you watch an anime and see the same shit over and over and over and over and still claim that it's new? I mean, in this case, no. It just doesn't work here. And I'm being honest. I'm not just loving it because it was delivered to me on a silver platter. No. It's not anything new. Even for an American comic book, it's nothing new. So my American viewpoint is not an American viewpoint. It's a realistic viewpoint. I'm taking what's here, this object, and I'm objectively reviewing what exists. I'm not putting my own and only my own perspective. I'm talking about this is what's in front of me. This is how it's presented. This is how it fits in with everything else that, you know, relates to this one thing. And it seems like you don't know enough about Blade to go back and forth and critique well. I mean, you didn't say anything about plot devices in your review. You didn't say anything about the direction and the art direction and stuff of the in your review. You didn't say. You said the animation could be better. What does that mean? Everybody says stuff like that. It's budget animation, and when they made this thing and they announced they were going to make it, they told everybody it's going to be budget animation. So obviously you know what to expect if you've been watching anime for a long time. So I just don't get some of that stuff. Then you ask me, why would I want the story I already know? That's exactly what they gave me. That's what they gave all of us. And those of us who know Blade, we know that all they did was they added on the parts that you haven't seen in the movie that we've all read in the comics, and that's it. And then you say that, you know, all this stuff should have left, all his previous origin and all that should have left my mind when I heard it was coming to anime. That's not the part I have a problem with. What I have a problem with is how unoriginal this thing is. And when I say unoriginal, I mean usually an adaptation or a reimagining of a character involves actually reimagining the character, not just cutting his hair, putting tattoos on his face, pretty much combining Ultimate and 616 Blade, keeping the storyline from the movie and then adding the portion of his life that the movie didn't go over and making him fight Deacon Frost again, and a generic version of Deacon Frost at that. I really don't get it. You said you can tell that I like logic. Why would I not like logic? Explanation, function, and you surmise science. This has nothing to do with science. I'm a more spiritual person than I am a science-based or scientific person. But in the case of Blade, Blade is a more scientific character. The movies show you a portion of what he was doing in the comics. He's very methodical, very logical, like Batman. So if he has to use science to counter supernatural things, he'll do it, you know? So I'm just saying that I want logic with that character. Everything else in the series can be whatever because it's supernatural. But Blade needs to be the logical, forward-thinking. I mean, he deals with everything like chess. He's always 5 steps ahead of whoever he's dealing with because that's what keeps you alive in the game of being a hunter. You said, excuse me, magic, fantasy, and anime versus Western animation defy the points of logic and science on purpose. What are you talking about? Full Metal Alchemist is a magic-based anime, and they explain to you what's being done, like as not what's being done like all the time, but as far as the alchemy aspects, they explain to you what's being done as they do it. They tell you what principle deals with what, you know, so you're not in the dark while it's happening. They explain to you that, you know, this is a result of this. That's all I'm asking for. Animation, no matter what part of the globe it comes from, is a visual medium. It's a storytelling medium. Tell me a fucking story. Don't tell me the story in pieces, or don't give me pretty pictures that don't make any sense. You know what I mean? In the end, this is a moving script, a moving story. I want to understand what I'm looking at. I don't want to just see pretty, you know, big boobs on a girl with a little girl's face, you know, a female with a little girl face and a super overly developed woman's body. That's not cool to me. I don't want to just see a vampire hunter running around in hot pants, kicking things and punching things and getting the same effect that Blade gets when he beats them. Blade is on the level that he's at because he's half human and half vampire, and he has none of the, he's an anomaly. He has none of the weaknesses and all of the strengths. The only thing he deals with is the thirst. Why would Makoto be on the same level no matter what martial arts she's practicing? That makes no sense. I mean, and if that was what they were going for, make her do some mystical martial art where you take it to the next level and it's new and you're like, holy shit. Give her weapons like the Ifrit gauntlets that you have in, or Beowulf, for those of you who play Devil May Cry 4 or 3. I forgot what they called them in 4, but anyway, give her gauntlets like that that enhance her strength to put her on Blade's level. Don't just make her kick and punch and you see enemies bursting into flames just because. That's bullshit. That's called lazy writing. It's a lack of consistency. The development, you said that you didn't like Cowboy Bebop for everything, but you liked it for its sci-fi elements. It did storytelling really well. I mean, that's one of the best animes of all time in my opinion. It's in many people's opinion. It's one of the, at least the top 5. You mentioned Code Geass. It had a good story. I know it won awards, but anything Clamp does looks like anything else Clamp did. So that's one area, and we're watching it. That's one area where it's a little bit generic. Yes, I could understand where an otaku would like that more than Cowboy Bebop, because Cowboy Bebop defies the stereotypical anime conventions. But that doesn't make it any less of a, or doesn't make it any worse or any less of a better, you know, presentation. The music, the characters, the character development, the stories, the twists, everything was top notch. Whereas Code Geass, like I said, the beginning, it's a nice story with cool twists and stuff, but the beginning, the first thing you're gonna see is the style, and that's the first thing to get you into it. And if you like Clamp, then that's awesome, but if you don't, it would turn you off, you know? So I don't see the comparison too. Code Geass and Cowboy Bebop and Blade are 3 completely different animes, and you compare those two as if they had something in common besides the fact that they were made in Japan. It just doesn't work, you know? I know Code Geass had like a bit of a, I don't know if it was supernatural, I can't remember because I saw that anime a long time ago, but I know the power, the Geass or whatever it was called. I don't remember if it was supernatural or if it was just a power. They say it was like an ancient power, a holy power, or something like that. So I guess it was supernatural. I don't remember how they handled that. But they didn't handle the whole series like it was supernatural, because it had mecha and it had politics and it had a lot of real world things in it. That's a different type of story. And if that's what you like, cool, then we'll review that another time. Right now, we're talking about Blade specifically. Blade has more in common with Cowboy Bebop because of the noir aspects and the gunplay aspects and the semi-stylized real-world situations. Blade, the anime, has no style. It has little soul. It's very bland. And they easily could have just imitated some things that have been done before in Blade's universe, and then they could have taken other things to the next level. So I'm just saying, overall, and I watched this anime up to, like I said, episode 4, and nothing was new. And I know it's kind of early, but I just wasn't feeling it. The presentation was not the greatest. The art style is not the greatest. It has a lot in common with Devil May Cry, that was also by Madhouse, where the first episode is really cool because the action is all nice and it's the introduction, but then after that it loses steam. Devil May Cry was annoying because, much like Dante in the game and in the cutscenes, nothing can beat him, so you really have no sense of urgency or of danger for the main character. So pretty much until the last episode, I think it was like the last 2 episodes of Devil May Cry, Dante didn't really have anybody hold a candle to him. And when they did, it was only because, you know, there was like a pun that was thrown in there that all you had to wait for was, how is Dante going to dispatch him? In Blade, they did it a little bit better because, you know, Blade gets hurt. I mean, he heals fast, but he gets hurt. But overall, same situation. You know, expose the villain. Let's, you know, expose the people who are going to deal with the situation or who are being preyed on. Throw Blade in the mix, have him beat him up. Let's make sure there's time for a quick battle, Have Blade kind of get the tables turned, and then have Blade use his first Blade killer, finisher move on whoever it is. End of story. Almost every episode that had action in it, it follows that formula. So I'm not just some random dude that's just completely dissonant. I'm talking from the perspective of someone who also writes and someone who also, works on similar stuff. And the way that it has to be done is not the way that it's being done here. The effective way is not the way that it's being done. Now, to me, I don't think it's effective. If you like it because you have limited knowledge of Blade and where he comes from and all the backstory and all that stuff, then cool. That's probably what they were banking on, because a lot of the new Marvel stuff banks on the fact that you have no prior introduction to these characters, or you have limited information and introduction to these characters. So anyway, that's just a little bit of how I feel about this. And this is how I'm going back and I'm letting you know where I'm coming from. This isn't an attack. I'm passionate about the things that I like. I'm passionate about art in all of its forms. And I think that a lot of people with anime, you get used to it. And this is why I said people give it a pass. A lot of people get used to anime and all the tropes and downfalls and the stereotypes and things that come along with it, so they don't expect more than that. Some of us, we get tired of that stuff, and now we want them to up their game. If you notice, if what I'm saying is so far off, why are they closing so many studios? The West has caught up with the East. We finally have shows like Avatar, shows like Justice League Unlimited, shows like oh my goodness, there's just enough shows out there, or I meant movies, I should have said, like all the DC animated movies and stuff, that they're on that level now, so it doesn't really there's no need for the Japanese anime like there once was. The stories coming out of the West are a lot better because they don't alienate everyone else except for the people who are into this specific thing. You don't have to be a fan 100% of Batman to pick up Under the Red Hood and then understand it and feel what's going on. It was a good story, even if that wasn't Batman, Joker, and Robin dealing with those situations. It was well done. It was well directed, well shot. Like, everything was just well done. Well drawn, well acted, everything way better than a lot of anime. A lot of anime, when they give us the English dub, it's poorly done. When they give us the sometimes even the subtitles are bad because they don't bother to make sure that they get as close to what was said as possible. Even if you have to reconjugate the sentence, at least get as close to what was said as possible. You don't know how many anime we watched, and my friends and I, we understand Japanese. And we've seen these shows and we're like, wow, that is not what that guy just said. That's not even close. And that's the level of care and attention to detail that gets put into this stuff when it's brought over here. I'm not saying that we have much of a choice in the case, because if you still like anime, you got to get what you can get, and that's how it is. Even some of the fan dubs, they kick the shit out of some of the professional, full-on official dubs, and so even that's being cracked down on. It's been cracked down on for a long time. So there's a lot of things that are playing into why anime is falling off. It's like they've plateaued. And I'm not the only one who feels this way. My favorite studio is being closed, freaking Ghibli. And they're amazing, yet they're closing them. Like, what the fuck, But it's because anime as a whole is plateauing, and it's getting kind of, generic now. They've done everything 10 times already. Like when people say we've seen it all, it's been done before. You can actually say that with anime. Everything, every genre, it's been done before in anime. Everything has been done. So what I'm asking for from the Blade anime, since you took an idea from the West because everything in the East has been done, is do something new to it. They may make some twists with this story, but Blade is still Blade exactly how he was from here. They didn't really make too many changes, and that's my big point. So anyway, that's it for me. You've been great. I hope there's more comments, or people are checking this out. I hope some people hear what I'm saying and don't bother. I hope some people hear it and maybe they bother. I just want the discussion to be going. I want people to start looking at things a little bit more critically, and that's pretty much it. So anyway, I'm out. Peace, people.